Dear friends, in my another episode, I'll cover today a very interesting topic on the gifts. It's very interesting that earlier there used to be gift tax and the gifts were taxable, and thereafter there was a abolition of gift tax act, and it was brought into income tax act itself by bringing some provisions where up to a certain limit the gifts were exempt, and within a defined relations the gifts were exempt without any limits. Since the gifts were exempt without any limits, there was a lot of benefits derived by certain family members by interchanging the assets, by interchanging the shares, by interchanging the bank balances to make it more tax efficiency, where there was no cost involved and the sources were defined. Similarly, the gift of any property can be interchanged without attracting any gift tax. However, the immovable property you require to pay the stamp duty, which is important. We'll cover that why the gift is abolished as such and what is the reasoning behind it or how it benefits any general public or business people to do it. Up to 50,000 rupees, a gift in a year is exempt in the hands of recipient from whoever is received, which means even from a stranger, if I receive an amount up to 50,000 rupees, there is no gift tax. Above 50,000 rupees, it is added as a other source income in section 56 and the recipient can pay taxes. When he pays taxes, tax officer normally does not ask for any source of the said fund. However, if the amount of the gift is very large, then of course the source of funds, why it was given without consideration, all those matters may come into play and tax officer can go into further more details. In the section 56, while covering the gift, the definition always says anything transferred or transacted at a less consideration or inadequate consideration or without consideration will amount to or deemed as a gift, which had a very wide ramification because sometimes the shares are valued at just the book value, which is the net worth value, and in fact the shares could be valued at much large valuation if the company is sold. So these parameters are kept in mind for interchanging the assets within the family members, and when they are sold later on to a willing buyer in the market, the wealth can easily switch hands. I repeat, the wealth can easily switch hands and it's a completely legal tax efficiency. There is no tax evasion. Intelligent people always take advantage of this, whether they are non-resident or resident. Gradually, the law provisions are changing to avoid this thing doing in the back date or current date by making the shares in demat accounts, checks being passed when, all the KYC norms being changed, and broadbanding the relationship definition. It's very important to note sometimes that the gift, even if it is made, who will pay the taxes on the income on the gifted amount, especially if you are gifting to a minor child or within the spouse if the gift takes place. If within the spouse the gift is taking place, the spouse who had made a gift to the other spouse is bound to reflect in her income tax return the income earned or derived from the gifted amount, which means if the gifted amount was put into a property, then any rental income will be taxed in the hands of the spouse who gifted the amount. Or if the amount gifted was put into a loan and the loan interest is earned, that loan interest will be taxed in the hands of the person who gifted the amount. So hence, by giving a gift between the spouse, husband and wife or wife to husband, tax efficiency cannot come. Tax efficiency can come only when there is an exempt income, and by that exempt income the capital is created by the spouse who has a less wealth, and the later on tax efficiency can be derived by taking the tax slab's advantage. When we come to any gift to the minor child, then the minor child, we normally give gift to create a wealth which can be used for their studies later on, which can be used for their any plans of business later on when they become major. Hence, whatever money they earn out of the effective investment of those funds whether in the mutual funds or in the shares or into the fixed deposits or in any other type of investment, that income is added to a parent whose income is higher amongst both the parents. The said income therefore does not escape the income tax, but of course the wealth is created for the minor child. Hence, it is very important for the families and the assessees to know how they can make an effective use of these provisions and can take advantage of this gifting. Thanks. You should consult before you are doing anything with your tax consultant so that you do not make an unwarranted mistake. I am sure you will do the needful. Thanks.